it's like been a big reason for Dak. CeeDee Lamb's last 6 games, he's had 158 yards, 191, 151, 38 and a touchdown, 53 and a touchdown, and 116 and a touchdown, which is conveniently at the start of that 6-game stretch, I did trade for him in fantasy.
Hey.
Right.
And I was ridiculed for
Conveniently,
it.
yeah.
CeeDee Lamb for B. John Robinson, I was called a madman. But
Well, that was right at the time when Bijan was going down, too.
no, it's right before he went down.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. I won that trade.
Oh, yeah.
But CeeDee Lamb, I mean, this guy's been playing out of his mind
He's a
all
monster.
season. And I do think Dak could be in the MVP conversation. But I feel like Dak just gets so much hate. Reasonably, I
He's
don't.
the Cowboys quarterback.
Yeah, how Cowboys
Well, so does
quarterback.
Jalen Hurts. I think Jalen Hurts
And
gets
he's
a fair amount of
MVP,
hate, too.
you know.
And Jalen
of
Hurts,
course.
I think, will end up winning the MVP.
Yeah.
The Eagles are a one-loss team and win the NFC East back-to-back, which no team has done in, what is it now, like 15, 16 years?
Yeah, no team's really done it.
But I think Dak kind of showed. They were down 2 scores late in that game. Usually you see that from Dak is he'll turn the ball over and the game will just be over. We saw him not have 0 turnovers and win a shootout against a Seahawks team that isn't the best but played really well on Thursday night.
They
Geno
played
Smith,
like a
how
very
they-
good team.
They played, I feel like, how they should with how the talent they have on the roster. I mean, DK Metcalf had 134 yards and 3 touchdowns.
He's a
Have him on
beast.
fantasy.
You
lucked out.
was
He's
that
a
40
beast.
points?
37 and a half.
Had a nice 334 yards from Geno. I mean,
Nice.
and they lose.
Yeah.
And the Seahawks lose. I feel like
Right.
that's like the epitome of the Seahawks season is like they play good and then they just kind of the Cowboys just played better. In the end the Cowboys just like pulled through it. That's what I feel like the Cowboys is different than most years is when they're just blowing everyone out. Their offense is off the charts this year and that defense with Micah Parsons on it is just insane. Obviously, as it always goes back with the Cowboys, have to win the playoffs, have to beat the Eagles, which they lost the first game versus the Eagles, but Cowboys notorious playoff chokers.
And
So-
kept it pretty competitive against the Eagles.
yeah,
also.
they were close.
Very
The
competitive.
end of the game ended up CeeDee
In
Lamb
Philly.
getting stopped at like the 3-yard line. But I do think this Cowboys team and Dak Prescott, it feels a lot different than years in the past.
Well, that team with Micah Parsons on their defense. Imagine a Cowboys defense with Shaq Leonard. You know, linebacker Shaq Leonard, free agent right now. Looking at these different teams, you know, they consider Dallas to be the best fit for him, you know, and rightfully so. Leighton Vander Esch went down with that season-ending weird neck surgery, an injury that he endured. So, I mean, the Eagles are in on him too. I'm fully aware of that situation, and I could very well see him go to the Eagles based on how good they are, but you can't count out really where the Cowboys are at right now. And Caleb, I'll throw this over to you. Where do you see Shaq Leonard, as great as he is, where do you think he'll end up?
I think it's got to be Eagles.
Mm.
I think it's got to be Eagles. I think the Cowboys, they have a sort of culture that I don't think fits. I think they have a culture that they're riding high on right now that they don't need to change. This Cowboys team is different than what we've seen. This Eagles team is a much better, I wouldn't say much better, a better team than the Cowboys this year. But this Cowboys team is legit this year, and they're not fooling around anymore. And I think they got to keep the momentum going.
Not having Zach Cunningham for Sunday's game against the 49ers, Eagles fans are a little upset about that, I'm sure, but we'll see. Shaq Leonard's definitely an interesting little point that I wanted to make a note of, and in general, just the NFL in general, guys. Owen, I'm going to pass this over to you because we have some pretty good games this week. And we talked about the Seahawks-Cowboys, but I think we forget that, Sunday it's still going to happen, even though, Giants and Jets fans might be checked out, whatever it may be. There's some good games up and down the board. And I do want to get your takes, guys, on some of these picks. Starting off first game of the day, Broncos-Texans should be a good one. The Broncos are hot. They've been rolling. But the Texans, they're giving them -3 points. Listen, based on how good the Broncos have been these past couple of games, I don't know. They're on a 5-game win streak. That definitely proves hot in the NFL when, teams are rolling week to week. So, Owen, I'm going to throw this over to you. They were 1-5. Now they're 6-5. Do they improve the Denver Broncos to 7-5 with a win over this week in the Texans?
CJ Stroud has just been so amazing this year with Tank Dell. I'm going to take the Texans with this one, but in general, this is a huge game for that wild card picture.
Yeah, it is.
Because it would completely shift those standings, and especially with head-to-head standings. This Texans team, though, is so exciting to watch just because it feels like it's a bunch of rookies kind of just like having fun out there with like the other day the play got called back, but I watched C.J. Stroud roll out to his left, like on his back foot, throw the ball like 65 yards down the field, and Tank Dell just like jumped up and grabbed it. I mean, this team is so exciting to watch. So I'm gonna take the Texans, even though the Broncos have been playing a lot better recently. But it feels like the Broncos are playing to what we thought they should play to, like these last 2 years. It's
About
not
time.
Yeah, it's finally that they actually Russ is playing like Russ, but I'm going with the Texans.
I'm going with the Texans also. Tank
Okay.
Dell's been on fire. C.J. Stroud's been great. The Broncos, I mean, both teams have a spot to play for here, right? Neither team is in the playoffs right now as it stands, and this is going to be a huge, huge game for both teams. I think the Texans are just more talented. They're at home. They know success more consistently this season than the Denver Broncos. It's been so up and down for the Broncos. It's been pretty consistent for the Texans. I think it'll be the Texans pretty clearly.
Okay. Chargers going into Foxborough to play the Patriots. -5.5. Vegas is giving the Chargers with an over-under of 39.5. Caleb, the Patriots fan that you are, I'll throw it over to you. What do you got this week?
Chargers.
Yeah. And unfortunate as it is, because the Chargers are not, they don't really shock you as much as you think they should be shocking us, right? And I don't know. Patriots 5.5. Bill Belichick, we know everything that's going on with him, and we'll see what his future holds. But I might take the Patriots plus 5.5 here, just as a teaser. Why not? Why not?
I mean, I look at what the Giants 10-7 last week. I think that was just the Giants' offense being bad. I mean, this Chargers team is so disappointing with how much talent they have.
Yeah.
And Brandon Staley's an awful coach. He will be
Yes.
fired at the end of the season,
Yep.
hopefully for the best of Justin Herbert's career.
Yeah,
But I
please.
feel like with how good and talented this Chargers offense is, I feel like they can blow out the Patriots. I mean, who are the Patriots starting this week? Do we know yet?
I think it's going to be Zappy.
Yeah. I mean, I think he's better than Mac Jones. I don't know. They both are really
They're both
bad quarterbacks. Do you think like Bailey Zappi can put together 2 touchdown
No.
drives?
No.
Yeah, then I would say 5.5. The Chargers are going to win by a lot more than 5.5.
Yeah, it might very well be. We'll see. Detroit Lions and the Saints. Going to be an interesting one. I'm going with the Lions here. We saw on Thanksgiving they were a little rough. Jared Goff was coughing up the ball, not really, playing to the best of his ability. They're giving the Lions -4.5. Over under 46.5. Caleb, who do you got?
Line's pretty clearly. I think that's a disrespectful line,
It is,
-4.5.
yeah,
You can
low-key.
give him 6 or 7 easy, pretty easily.
Certainly fair.
Obvious choice is the Lions. The Saints team also so disappointing.
They've been bad.
So much talent on that. I mean, Michael Thomas back on IR, but
Chris Olave, concussion.
Kamara. I mean,
Kamara, oh my
Derek
goodness.
Carr stinks, I guess,
He's
now.
bad, right? I don't know what's good with him.
He really just fell off a cliff.
Oh
Kamara
my
had flashes
goodness.
of brilliance, but it hasn't
Right.
been
Kamara's
enough.
been great for fantasy this
Yeah.
year.
Yeah.
He was suspended at the start of the year. I mean, that team is just like, it's just a mess. I don't know why they ever got rid of Sean Payton, but that organization, they're like $78 million into the cap next year, and look at like the scenario they're in. But they also still are in second place in the NFC South and can win the division. So I'm picking Lions though.
That's fair. Next game, Cardinals-Steelers. I might save you guys the breath. I'm going to take the Steelers -6.5. I think they're the better team. I think the Rams smoked the Cardinals last week. So we'll see what happens with the Steelers. Will they be able to cover 6.5? I think they do at home. Jets-Falcons, guys. We kind of touched on it already. Just real quick. Jets or Falcons? Falcons win. Jets season's over. Owen, who do you got?
I'm going to take the Falcons. They're just probably
Yeah.
going to feed Bijan. As long as Desmond Ridder doesn't make mistakes, they're going to win that game.
I think it's pretty clearly Falcons.
Yeah. Colts at the Titans. 42.5 is the over-under, and the Colts are favored by 1. So basically a toss-up game, Vegas is assuming. I might have to go the Titans here. They're at home. I think they'll get this done. The Colts have not really been good ever since Anthony Richardson went down. Of course, I pick him in fantasy. He goes down. Of course, that's just the way it works. But, Owen, Colts, Titans, who do you got?
I'm going to go with the Colts. You're not a believer in Minshew Mania. Big win versus the
Mania.
Bucs last week. And they're in a playoff, or they're
Are they?
fringe playoff team, or they are a playoff team right now.
They're in right now.
They're in right now,
now.
6-5. I
AFC
think they're the
South.
7th seed, right?
7 seed. Yep. 6 and 5. Yep.
I mean, Gardner Minshew is leading this team on a playoff run, which is wild to think
and they
about.
beat the Patriots. If you beat the Patriots, you win the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean that's all that
Oh,
matters.
then the Giants are poised for a big run.
Yeah, I'm taking the Colts in this one. The Titans are such an interesting team for me. They're so inconsistent.
I like Will Levis, man.
I like Will Levis too, but he's just been so inconsistent this year. And Derrick Henry's kind of, I don't want to say he's washed, but I think he's getting washed.
It could be, right? Like, you see the writing on the wall in sports. It's so funny. Caleb, who do you got?
I got the Colts.
Yeah, and it's kind of the we'll see. Commanders, Dolphins. I'll save you guys the breath. -9.5. Dolphins. Thank you very much. Buccaneers -4 over the Panthers. I'll save you guys again. This one though, I don't know. Browns, Rams. Browns are very good on some aspects of football, but in others not as much. Who do you got?
They're starting Joe Flacco this week, who
Yes.
is an elite quarterback. Hall of Famer Joe Flacco should be.
Yeah.
Joe Flacco's elite. So I'm going to take I don't know. I'll take the Browns on this one.
They're giving the
defense
Rams -4 at home.
Their defense is so good if Myles Garrett is able to play. Also going back to that Panthers game though, I think teams are like undefeated when firing their head coach. They're coming off a game firing their head coach. They're going to lose, but they might come out juiced up just to lose. But going back to this one, I'm taking the Browns.
I got the Rams.
Okay.
I think Stafford will do all right. You got Puka. You got Kupp. I think the talent, I think, is they're stronger in favor of the Rams.
At home.
Defense side of the ball?
Maybe
defense is
offense,
tough.
no question though.
Oh,
Yeah,
offense,
no
no question.
question.
Absolutely no question. So I'll take the Rams. It's at home.
Yeah, that's certainly fair. And 49ers, Eagles, 425. Big game. Everyone is watching, I'm sure. Listen, this could be a matchup of the NFC Championship that we're looking at right here, and honestly, it probably will. The Eagles are amazing. The 49ers are really good, too. 3 points they're giving San Francisco on the road. Eagles plus money at home. I mean, give me the Eagles fly, but that's just me. Owen, who do you got in this matchup?
I don't really know. I think I'm going to go with 49ers are an 8-3 team, but they don't feel like an 8-3 team. I feel like at the beginning of the year we were talking about this team could go undefeated. Eagles are 10-1, but they're a pretty fraudulent 10-1, I think. They're like last year's Vikings.
The first 10-1 home underdog ever, Merrick just said behind the glass. Pretty cool stuff. I did not realize that. Like, what?
I mean, the 49ers last 2 weeks, since they got Chase Young, their defense is off the charts.
You're going to tell me Alabama's plus money this weekend and the Eagles are plus money?
You know what to do. You know what to do.
I'm making a parlay now, but, I mean, geez. Like,
I'm taking the 49ers in this one in Philly.
Okay.
I agree with you. This is the NFC Championship. This will be the NFC Championship game. Both these teams are, I think, in a different class than anyone else in the NFL. And this really could be, in a way, the Super Bowl matchup. Whoever wins the NFC is going to win the Super Bowl, I think.
Yeah.
I got the Eagles in this one, too.
Okay.
Or, sorry, I got the Eagles in this one.
Okay.
I think at home it's hard to doubt them. I think they have a huge chip on their shoulder, and they want to get that fraudulent label off of them. I think it'll be the Eagles.
The Eagles find ways to beat you, too. Like, they triple-teamed Travis Kelce at one point in that Chiefs game. Like, they will find a way. Nick Sirianni, as much as I hate the guy, he's a hell of a coach.
I can't stand Nick Sirianni.
Like,
I think he's electric.
Yeah, I mean, you know.
I guess because it's more of a division rival kind of thing. If you, from an outsider point of view, that guy's like the funniest, great guy.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah.
From playing against him 2 times a year, I'm like,
if you have skin in the game, you don't like him.
I can't stand him.
You know, but again, Caleb, I could ask, like, you know, I don't know. It's you look at other coaches around the league, like, I don't know. Some of them irk me the wrong way, but that's just me. I don't know, guys. It's kind of what we're dealing with right now. But the Sunday night game, Chiefs-Packers, 8:20 under the lights in Green Bay of Lambeau. Chiefs are favored by 6, over under 42.5. I might take the Packers here, plus 6. Chiefs really haven't been that good. They don't have a really good wide receiver room. I mean, they're winning these games, but not really. Like, I don't know. Rashid Rice is your number one option. Like, teams are really finding ways to play the Chiefs. Their defense has stepped up. I'll give them that. Credit to them. But, Caleb, I'll start with you. Packers plus 6 in Lambeau Sunday night.
I'm still taking the Chiefs.
Okay.
I just think Mahomes is. You can't. It's hard.
That's fair.
It's hard to find ways where they're going to screw up in so many ways against a team like the Packers. They're just not a strong enough team. There's margin for error that they're not. The Chiefs have margin for error that they're not going to need to use. I think it'll be the Chiefs by 10.
I also think I'm going to go with the Chiefs here. The Chiefs, if they actually had a good wide receiving core. I saw some video. Like, there's been drops. They should be a 10-win team right now. I mean, think about last game, the game against the Eagles that they lost. They win that game if MVS just, catches the ball right in his hands. Travis Kelce had a bunch of huge drops. Obviously, like we talked about before, I don't think the Chiefs are the team of the AFC this year. I think the Jags are probably better. The Ravens definitely better. But
the Ravens are good.
In this game, I'm going with the Chiefs over the Packers. Packers haven't shown me enough. I do like Jordan Love, though. I think he's going to turn into a good, solid quarterback.
So I forgot the coach's name. It just blanked my mind. But we talked about Nick Sirianni as Giant fans, how we don't like the guy. Caleb, you like the guy just because, it might be an interdivision thing. But I got to ask you, Caleb, interdivision AFC East, how do you feel about Mike McDaniel? Like, do you like him? Like, because a lot of people...
I love Mike McDaniel.
I like him, yeah.
I don't know. I think he's a goofball, bro. Like,
it's working, though. He's a goofball that draws up fun, exciting plays. I mean...
Listen, I do like the guy. Like, it's different, but I don't know. It might be a shtick.
I don't hate him.
No.
Or dislike him. I also think when you say, like, interdivision, like, it's not even intra-league. The Patriots are playing, or they're not even playing college football, they're playing high school football.
Should be relegated to
it's
Pop
not,
Warner.
I don't see any team in our division as a threat. Threat to what?
No rival right now.
Threat to what? Us not getting the number one pick? Like, what are we doing here?
Your biggest rival right now is the Panthers. The
Panthers
start winning.
Exactly. Yeah. Can you? Right.
Oh man. I mean, it's true. It's really true.
I'm a McDaniels guy. I mess with him.
Cool. I mean, it's weird. It's very weird. Other things of note, we'll get to the Monday night game, but Deion Sanders, Sports Person of the Year, a little weird. I don't know if anyone else was kind of...
Yeah, did AI write that?
Thrown out. Yeah, right. Yeah, I don't know what they're giving out these awards to, but...
I mean,
I think... Sanders, man.
Well, I think if you talk about media, culture...
he's great.
But
Buffalo stink.
But that's what I feel like that's kind of what the award or label is, though.
Yeah, like he was I feel like he was the most talked about person this year.
He probably was.
Through what he did. I mean, Buffalo ended up stinking it up, but I mean, they had 4 wins this year, which is 4 more than they had last year. And Colorado's program in general has not been good, and he's kind of changing it. It's only year 1 for him, and I think you got to give him a lot of credit for that. And, I mean, he's really I feel like those first few weeks of college football, he, transformed the media. I mean, everything you see on social media was the Shador. All you saw was Deion Sanders.
Yeah.
Him ranking his kids, him doing everything. So, I think he deserves Sports Person of the Year. I don't know. Who else would you think it should go to?
I don't know. It was just...
Who else was up for it? Was it just like a
I didn't see. I saw someone talking about it. I glanced through it, but I don't know. It was just a point I wanted to make. It was just weird. It was definitely one of those things that you make a note of. It's just like, I don't know. Very weird. But... in terms of just football in general, we talked about the NFL, we've talked about Deion, we've talked about all these different things. It continues to go on. Like there's no other way to sugarcoat it. We didn't get on this in the college segment, but it kind of interlaps with Bill Belichick as well, where his future will end up being. Because Jim Harbaugh, we talk about him. He's won over 1,000 games in his career. You got to look to these guys. If they go on the open market, teams are going to be paying a lot of money to have Bill Belichick or Jim Harbaugh coaching their teams. So I'll open up to either of you guys. Do you have any teams in mind that maybe, Harbaugh could very well go to if Michigan ends up, losing? It could be interesting. And Bill Belichick, same thing. Do you want to keep Bill Belichick? Obviously, you probably do, but there's maybe not right now. There was a time when you did.
Oh, of course there was a time. Of course. There was a time when I did, and it was 10 minutes ago. And then 10 minutes before that, I didn't. It's just like there's so many problems with the Patriots right now. It's hard to point fingers. And then, of course, there's the whole legacy discussion. How much of the Patriots dynasty was Brady? How much of it was Belichick? How much of it was the draft picks? Not very much. But there's a conversation there. And I think the problem now is that Brady's out of the picture, but there are residuals in Belichick. And so it's hard to separate. Impossible, really, to separate what's Brady, what's Belichick, what's not, what's Mac Jones's problem, how much of it is the O-line, how much of it is the draft picks, what's the strategy, is it a bad strategy? So I'm fine keeping Belichick. I'm fine saying goodbye. I want him to retire as a Patriot, just for legacy's sake and pureness' sake.
You just want him to make the choice for you. You want him to retire. Just so,
correct. So I don't have to have an opinion.
Just so the organization doesn't have to be like, oh, Bill, you're fired.
Right.
I do think. Well, he's under contract, so it would be a trade, right? They'd have to trade the coach,
he
like
extended
the
his contract.
Sean Payton thing. I do think Bill Belichick could end up as the Commanders head coach.
That's what I was gonna
That's
say,
most realistic
Yeah.
if he were to leave. A team that isn't going to, Ron Rivera's going to be gone. They don't have a GM-ish. Like, he would fill both those roles.
Not the Giants, you don't think?
No,
Not
I
that-
don't
not
think
again.
he really fits
No,
our
definitely not.
our time that we're going through. And I think the Patriots are going to want to go towards a maybe younger head coach if they brought in a new quarterback.
Yes.
But I think for Jim Harbaugh, I can't even say his name, but if he did leave Michigan, which I think he will with all the new allegations and stuff, I think he'll end. Once they fully investigate, I think there's a chance he could end up being suspended for an entire season, and at that point, he'd go back to the NFL. I think he's only going to the NFL to coach a contending team. He's not going to go to coach the
Right.
Panthers. He's not going to go to coach like another horrible team that's going to be out of coach. I definitely think he'll end up with the Chargers.
Okay, that's
Because
interesting.
he coached
It's a shout.
he coached out there before with San Fran, and he'll be going to a team that has a ton of talent and should be a contender. He's not going to have to rebuild a quarterback. He's already got a franchise quarterback, and I think that's where I see him end up going if he does return to the NFL, which I think happens.
Yeah, well, all good stuff, guys. And lastly, for this Monday night game, the Bengals, as much as it hurts me to say, they kind of fallen off the beaten path, as you could say. But the Jaguars are getting 9 points at home Monday night, 8:15 under the bright lights of Jacksonville. So, Caleb, I'm going to throw this over to you. 38.5 is the over and the under. 9 points is the spread in favor of the Jaguars. Who do you got on Monday night?
I'm taking the Jags. Calvin Ridley's really improved this season. He was so inconsistent. And
He's
Trevor
suspended
Lawrence
last year.
The wagers.
Our,
bro.
our gambling god.
Chill out.
Yeah.
Chill out.
And Trevor Lawrence, he was all right. I was not high on the Trevor Lawrence train at all. Not when he was at Clemson. Not when he's now in the Jags. But he's looked a lot better towards the second half of the season. And I think they're a solid team. I don't think they're going to go to the conference championship or even flirt with it. But I take the Jags here Monday night.
Yeah, easy pick is the Jags. I mean, I had the Bengals as my Super Bowl pick at the start of the year. Obviously, that went down. When
You and Dave Portnoy.
I had it before Dave Portnoy. I had that.
Hey, Portnoy tailed Kelty here.
Yeah, I had the preseason Bengals pick. That was my team. Obviously, it went down when Joe Burrow went down, but do the Bengals win a game the rest of the season? Most likely not. But with Joe Burrow down, I mean, if you don't win the rest of the game, you could get a top pick and get another weapon or another.
You don't believe in Jake Browning to lead the way for Cincinnati?
I do not see Jake Browning running a nice little table here to end the season. Jacksonville, though, I do disagree with you. I really think Jacksonville can make that conference championship game. Beside the top four, I think they could beat Miami. Miami hasn't proven to win in the playoffs. Jacksonville won a game last year. I think they're better than the Chiefs. I think Jacksonville can make a run at the Super Bowl this year.
Oh, I don't think they're better than the Chiefs.
Really?
No.
Have they played head-to-head yet this year or no?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, they did. They played September 17th.
Early on, like week 1.
I think that was that was an overseas game, so it doesn't count.
Yeah.
Whoa, that one.
Yeah, on American soil, come on.
Yeah,
That's right.
Jags did lose, but I'm not counting that one. You know, you got the flights and all that. It doesn't count. Got to beat them on American soil. So I think the Jags could be better than the Chiefs and make it farther than the playoffs.
I think they could be. I don't think it's going to happen.
Fair enough.
Merrick just alluded to behind the board. This is the first Monday night game for the Jaguars in over 15 years. Last time was that they played on Monday night was
They have
also
been
in Jacksonville.
Really bad.
Isn't that insane? 15 years? We were 6 years old.
I was 4.
4 years old. Like, oh my goodness.
That's wild to think. I mean, if you really think about it, though, before last year before that, this Jaguars team, like they were up there with the
yeah.
Browns as
Yeah.
they had that one year when they were good and went to the AFC Championship game. But yeah, the AFC Championship game and lost to the Patriots with Blake Bortles' magical run.
Oh my
But
goodness.
I mean, think about all those years. I mean, they were really bad. Maurice Jones-Drew teams are like awful. So I guess that's really. But Monday Night Football, that's surprising. I feel like they always just try to throw anyone on there.
So, that's kind of where we're at. They're throwing anyone on there. That is what they are doing. This NFL slate continues to rock and roll. We continue to rock and roll. Last 20 minutes here on the show of One-on-One. Stick around for Mixed Bag, just general questions. You know what we do over here at One-on-One. Stick around for that.
What's up, everyone? I'm Julia Moss, one of the hosts of WFUV's women's sports podcast, All In. Join us each week as we break down everything from the WNBA, women's collegiate sports, the NWSL, and so much more. We're also joined by recurring hosts including Maddie Bamonte, Taylor Masetta, Sam Bohr, and Annabelle Watson. All In is a production of WFUV Sports.
Welcome back into One-on-One, New York's longest-running sports call-in show. Dan Bartels alongside Owen Kelty and Caleb Stine. Guys, this has been a really good show. Really, really good show. I'm very happy with what went down and the discussions we've had today, but we're about to have a discussion with one of our own here at Fordham, one of the Rams, and Chris Persiine. And Chris is on the phone. How are you, brother?
Hey, guys. What's going on? Can you hear me all right?
We can hear you loud and clear, brother.
All right. Well, I've got a question for you guys. And this question might catch you off guard at first. But let me set the scene. The Oklahoma City Thunder have the number 1 net rating in the NBA. They have the NBA's number 6 offense and by far, the number 1 defense, okay? They have a guy averaging 18 points and 8 rebounds on 56% shooting, 44% from beyond the arc, and 88% from the free throw. He's top 15 in a whole lot of advanced stats, including 5th in the entire NBA in EPM, which is a stat I can tell you guys the New York Knicks use behind the scenes to influence their decisions when acquiring or scouting out players. Chet Holmgren might be an all-star today. How do we feel about this?
Well, Chris, I could say right off the rip, I think Chet, he's a rookie, right? We forget that Victor Wembanyama played professionally before he ever touched, down on American soil. Like, there's going to be a higher expectation, I assume, with Victor Wembanyama. We're kind of seeing that now. But Chet, I'll give you credit. He's a baller. He really is. We saw at Gonzaga how good he was, and a lot of people say his frame won't live up to what a lot of people would expect, but he is defying expectations and doing it very quickly, I'd say. So, NBA Rookie of the Year, I don't think it is out of the question for Chet right now. Owen, what do you think about Chet? He's special, though.
He's a special player. I think he's deserved, like Chris, I think he's a deserved all-star. I mean, I'm seeing him do things that people were always like, oh, Wemby this, Wemby that. I mean, Chet could be just as good, maybe not as generationally.
He's the best defender on the best defense in the NBA, and he's putting up 18 points a game. And let me tell you guys, he's not sitting in the corner like me in middle school waiting for someone to create for him and take an open shot. No, this guy's putting the ball on the ground and pulling up from mid-range. I'm not going to say he's looking like a guy whose name rhymes with Mevin Durant, but
it does look like Kevin Durant.
That's right. Yeah,
guys, it's close.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Chris, I'll throw this right back to you. So Victor Wembanyama's 19 years old. Chet's 21. Give him 5 years. Who do you think will be better? I could tell your opinion's probably going to be Chet, but I don't know.
So listen, you guys know I'm a huge draft guy. In Chet's class, I said the Orlando Magic should break the mold of going best player available, and they should take Paolo Banchero because they need a number 1 scoring option so bad. Why did I not think Paolo was the best player available?
Yeah.
Well, I had Chet number 1 in that draft class. But I've got to tell you guys something. I started evaluating NBA draft prospects the year that Luka Doncic was my number 1 prospect. And I've never evaluated a prospect better than Wembanyama. I've got to go with him.
Yeah.
He's an unreal talent, but I don't think that understates the fact that Holmgren is not only the Rookie of the Year this year, but I think he's an all-star.
Chris, while we got you on the phone, Ausar Thompson, how special is he, and how special is this Pistons team going to be with 5 first-round picks? They're obviously not performing 16 straight
Special.
losses. We understand that.
It's one way of putting special.
Give it 2 years from now, Chris. How good is this Pistons team going to be?
Ausar Thompson is averaging just about a double-double.
Yep.
This is a guy who cannot shoot the basketball. So he knows he can't shoot. His defenders know he can't shoot. He's still averaging about 3 combined steals and blocks per game, along with the double-double. The connective passing is fantastic. He's someone who you can bet your mortgage on making the right read every time. And so the thing to me with Ausar is if the shot comes along, you're looking at a top 5% athlete, a 95th percentile NBA athlete. His brother Ahmed, 99th percentile, of course. Those two, I think, are both lined up to be all-stars if the shot comes along for both of them. If the shot never really does come along for Ausar Thompson, well, Andre Iguodala was an all-star player, and I can tell you guys he was never a sharpshooter. He was just a fantastic defender, a smart passer, a connective passer, someone who, when a lead guard attacked the defense and tilted the floor, could then make a weak side play at the rim going baseline or anything like that. I think Ausar Thompson is someone who maybe not in Detroit or maybe, pending some big moves in Detroit, is primed to be an all-star as well. Guys, this draft class, just incredible. You can give shouts to Cason Wallace on OKC, another big part of their spectacular defense. Take a look at Keontae George out in Utah.
Yep.
And would you say that Anthony Black and Jalen Suggs is a top 5 defensive backcourt in the NBA right now? I mean, the Magic, a really high seed as well.
Looking like it.
They're looking like it. So these rookies, really impactful, guys.
Chris, thank you for the time. That was our Knicks beat reporter and NBA insider here at WFUV Sports, Chris Persianen. Chris, thank you for the time and the call.
Thank you guys for the incredible show. I've been listening. You're killing it. I was just out doing a school project, so I had you guys in an AirPod, and I think you guys are doing really well. I love the NFL talk. Jacksonville over Kansas City, a take that if they didn't have Rashee Rice, I would like, but I'm going KC. Thank you guys so much for having me on. You're killing it on the air today, so all 3 of you and behind the boards as well, I'm noticing, so it's great.
Chris Persianen, thank you for the call, and that's kind of a good segue into our mixed bag section, kind of the last 12 or so minutes that we have. We're going to take the time here and just rattle off some questions for the listening audience, and we're going to start, and these questions crafted by the Merrick Rhodes. Thank you very much, Merrick. First question. Best college sports conference. Big East. That's my 2 cents. Caleb, what do you got?
ACC.
Okay, an ACC guy. SEC.
I'm gonna go with the SEC.
I mean, sports, I think it's
Right.
ACC. Football's no question.
Football, yeah, ACC. No.
I mean, I'm
Or,
also like the
SEC,
most
no
biased
question.
in the room.
Yeah.
Also.
I mean, SEC's got some competitive basketball here and there.
Here and there, though, yeah?
Yeah, every once in a while they make a little run in the tournament. Alabama made a run.
I think the Big East just for college basketball is like the epitome for me, but any other sport.
ACC's epitome
Well,
of
of
college
course, yeah, but I don't know. I just think
Yeah, ACC
this
for
year, the Big-
basketball is
Big East is going to be electric this year, for
Yeah.
sure. I'll
the
give credit where
Big
credit's
Ten
due.
is
But
the
I get
is
what you-
college sports.
yeah,
Rutgers Nation.
that's a tough one, but it depends on the sport, I think, for that
Rutgers.
question. But
Rutgers.
really good all around. Should the Giants draft a QB? If so, who? If not, who do they draft? Oh, and I'll throw this to you. I don't think they should. You have Daniel Jones, you have Tyrod Taylor, you have Tommy DeVito now. So there's no reason that everyone needs to think the sky's falling.
I think you 100% draft a quarterback.
Oh,
If you're in the top 5, I think you see who's in front of you, try to move up for Caleb Williams or Drake May. If you're outside the top 5, I think you take Jaden Daniels. And
Okay.
if they somehow accidentally run into 2 or 3 more wins and you're fringe 8, 9, and Jaden Daniels isn't there, Drake May or Caleb Williams isn't there, either you trade up and get one of those guys for a quarterback, but if none of those 3 guys are there, I think, I don't know, I'd say go O-line if you
Yeah.
can. I mean, I actually
Marvin Harrison Jr. If he's
I don't think he'd be available. If you're at 8 or 9, I would be a fan of trading back into the teens
Yeah.
and getting a guy like Malik Neighbors if he's still there,
Okay.
a top tier wide receiver. But at 8 or 9, I think trade back. Otherwise, Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams.
To give Hyatt some help. That's really kind of where we're at right now. Next question. Who do you have winning the NBA in-season tournament? Kind of an interesting one. A couple teams. The Knicks are in. The Nets are not in this in-season tournament. But, again, there you have some teams in there like the Pacers and the Bucks. And, it could be a real toss-up here. The other teams in the other side of the Kings and the Pelicans, as well as the Suns and the Lakers. So, out of those teams, guys, who do you got winning this in-season tournament? I like the Suns personally, but I don't know.
Celtics.
Celtics, they are